spouses or partners, they get complacent, they get tired, they may draw interest elsewhere. And we saw that a lot of people decided that this person is just not for me anymore.
Yeah.
You know, they are no longer able to have that break to go to work because we were quarantined, right? So looking at this person, oh, I really don't like them. You know, we don't have anything in common anymore, or we've grown so far apart. I don't know if I want to recover this relationship. Or it's the other extreme. I've been seeing somebody else at work, and now I can't see them at work, and now I'm home and have to deal with this partner, and I don't like them anymore. I want the person at work. So we've seen so much. So I've just charged clients with, be honest with yourself, be very candid with yourself about three things. You can write this down or take note. Check your expectations plus your reality. And if they're off, it's going to equal a disappointment. Expectations plus reality equals a disappointment when they're off. And then some math. People during the pandemic were doing basic math, adding, multiplying, subtracting, and dividing. Does this partner add to my life? Do they multiply my life? Those are two
Yes.
positives. Or do they divide or subtract from my life? So dividing, do they divide me from my family? Do they divide me or subtract from my faith walk or my purpose or my business life? You know, so a lot of assessing was taking place, and we saw an influx of a lot of changes. Divorce
Yes.
to bees were a new thing. So this is how I've seen as a clinician the pandemic affecting relationships.
Thank you so much. Yeah, so let's wrap up. Certainly, Dawn, you care to share how has the pandemic affected relationships?
So I always say that there's some drugs that enhance or add to the mood that you're in. And that's how I describe the pandemic. If you had bad home conditions, or things were not on an even keel, or as Felicia was just saying, there was some maybe dishonesty or things that were not happening that were transparent, then more than likely putting people together for that all day, and having the children in the house often, it really created a very negative situation. I mean, I had clients that were calling me saying, I went in my driveway, or I went outside somewhere to do this session because I just didn't want to be, even if they could have closed the door and had the session privately, they just wanted to be away from even people who they did love, like their kids, even if it wasn't a bad relationship. People's morning routines, returning phone calls in the car or whatever they do, it does make a difference for people in a positive way. Keeps people human. And the pandemic took that away from many people. On the contrary, though, I'll share a little bit about myself. I have two kids, now 11 and 14, that I spent a lot more time with during the pandemic. And it was actually a beautiful experience because I became a better cook. I was doing like breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And we would just spend a lot of time together, and it was very nice. But there was situations, and I'm able to work from home, but the essential workers and just people who don't have that luxury, it was very stressful for many people, being in the home and not being able to quote unquote escape.
Yeah. Thank you, Don. Absolutely. I agree. It, like, what Felicia said, it either brought you closer or it made you really analyze the relationship. Certainly. And I love that math, by the way, Felicia. All right, Zoran, I want you to take this question. Can anxiety be decreased by self-care? Can anxiety be decreased by self-care? Is there a direct connection between self-care and decreased stress level? Can anxiety be decreased by self-care? Zoran?
Yes, absolutely. It can. Anxiety, definitely, self-care and self-love. I like to kind of piece them together, right? Self-care and self-love allows us to really pour into ourselves, right? It allows us to stop and pause and give the love to ourselves that we often give to other people. It allows us to set boundaries, and it allows us to really just,
It's
you
for
know,
Zoom. So this woman I know invited me to it. It's for.
Okay, let's mute. Okay, Zoran, you can go ahead.
okay.
It allows
So,
us.
right. So with self-care and self-love, what it does is that by doing that, by pausing and really providing that to ourselves, it improves resilience, right? It's going to activate bravery, which activates changes. So I often have clients that are struggling with anxiety. We all have some form of anxiety, right? In our day-to-day, especially you talked about the pandemic earlier. I certainly saw it increase with mental health and so forth. So being able to intentionally, we use that word a lot today.
Yes.
So I hope that we take that away with intention.
Intention.
With intention means I'm doing it with my mind, my heart, and my soul, right? So self-care allows you, if you are doing it intentionally every single day, intentionally, you are setting time to promote stability, right, in your mind, in your emotions. So self-esteem, self-care, self-love is going to promote that resilience. So when situation occurs, you're able to address it. You're able to manage it. It increases your self-confidence. It's going to reduce your stress. We talked earlier, someone mentioned sleep.
Yes.
We talked about eating. We talked about exercise. We talked about connection with self, connection with others. We talked about positive talk, and we talked about spirituality, right? So when you combine all of that, whatever comes your way, because it will come your way, whatever comes your way, you're able to manage it. You're able to manage it in a certain way where it's, like I said, like a Coca-Cola bottle where and you close your Coca-Cola bottle and then you shake it and then you open it. What happens? You explode, right? So this allows you to be able to not necessarily be shaken by things that's going to occur, because we know none of us are exempt from stress. None of us are exempt from situations, right? So self-care, self-love, and intentionally practicing it on a daily helps us, it equips us. So when something occurs, when something comes our way, we're able to address it with more positive and more resilience.
Resilience. Wonderful. Beautifully said. Thank you so much. And as we wrap up, Felicia, I want you to give us some self-care tips. How can self-care be incorporated into our busy schedule? How can self-care be incorporated into our busy schedule? Give us about 2 to 3 tips.
Okay, before you speak, if you could make it extremely short because we're running over time. Thank
Okay.
you so much.
Yeah.
All right. So of the ones that I mentioned before, the prayer, the devotion, we'll throw in affirmations. But for busy people, busy women like you guys and busy gentlemen, I recommend that clients use a calendar and respect the calendar. Respect your personal boundaries on your calendar, and also use a daily list of not more than 2 to 3 things. Zoran spoke about anxiety. A lot of times with a lot of responsibilities, people can get very overwhelmed. And so learning how to recognize when you start to feel, oh, okay, I gotta go do this, I gotta da, da, da. So make a list, 2 to 3 things max that are attainable in your day. But also coupled with the prayer, the meditation, the devotion, breathing exercises. Breathing can really, really usher in a chance to do some self-reflection and give you a chance to reclaim and recover yourself if you start to feel those overwhelming feelings. So make a list, 2 to 3 things, use a calendar, but respect the calendar. And don't forget to put yourself at the top of your list.
Thank you. This is such a beautiful conversation. It's so informative. Thank you so much for your time. And of course, I don't want to end it without Don saying a few words. So Don, any advice, any extra tips you'd like to provide?
Thank you for that. I mean, I just believe that, you know, mind, body, and soul. So preparing yourself for the day, getting up, you know, say your affirmations, imagine your day and what you want to accomplish, keeping those things in realistic bounds. I believe that movement is very important, even if it's a walk or, you know, around the blocks that you live. It can even be, you know, 15 minutes. It's better that you move than not. And, you know, just taking care of yourself in whatever way, whatever things are important to you, trying to get those things in. I'll just say this real quick last thing, that the American Psychological Association actually has self-care as an ethical mandate. You know, it's part of the ethics that we should have as mental health professionals for ourselves, because in order to help people, we really need to maintain
Take care of
that.
ourselves.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for this mental wellness panel. Don Sinkfield, Felicia Smith, Zoran Lazarus Theodore, thank you so much for your expertise. My name is Kamisha Superville, founder of EBK Events. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, let's get some
Excellent.
emojis and some words going in the panel, how we're feeling, and also just share one thing that I guess, you know, we were not, I guess we were not conscious of, that we, you know, and how we address that. Go ahead, Dr. Neva.
Yes, well, we will